1 second. You're on.
Thank you. All right, at 6:30, we're going to call the meeting to order. And if you'd all please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. And today we're going to start with a public hearing. The Groveland Select Board will hold a public hearing on Monday, June 23rd, 2025 at 6:30 PM at Town Hall, 183 Main Street, Groveland, Massachusetts, on the application for change of officer and change of ownership for Wedgwood Beverage Incorporated, doing business as Groveland Fairway by Wedgwood Weddings, 156 Main Street, Groveland.
Good evening. I'm not sure if you guys can hear me on Zoom.
Elizabeth?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. My name is Elizabeth Pisano. I am counsel for Wedgwood. This is just a change of officers and change of ownership for the grandparent entity of the licensee. It's just housekeeping type of changes that are happening in the corporate end of things. There is absolutely nothing changing at the venue. All operations will remain the exact same, and you will not notice any changes there. It's just internal changes that we have to go through administratively. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
Thank you. Does anybody on the board have any questions? Ed?
No.
Steve?
No.
Becky?
No.
Does anybody in the public have any questions? All right, with that, I guess we're going to be closing the hearing. So I'll take a motion to close the hearing.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? 4 in favor, 1 absent. And with that, we're going to take a vote on to accept the, we don't have a specific motion. Change in ownership and the change of the officer.
I'll make a motion to approve the change of ownership and the change of officer as presented.
I'll second it.
Motion is second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? 4 in favor, 1 absent.
Point of order.
Yes.
Should you be voting on it, seeing as how you're in a butter?
I don't think I would have any financial gain whether they change ownership or not. So I don't think it would matter either way. Because usually if there's anything that I would financially gain or somebody would financially gain, that's usually what determines whether or not they can vote on something. So I think it's okay. Unless you object.
Well, to be on the safe side, why don't we take another vote with you in abstention?
Okay, we can do that. So we'll do another vote. I'll just abstain. And all in favor?
Yep.
So 3 favor, 1 abstention, and 1 absent.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you very much. Have a good night.
And I don't believe we have any public comment. All right, with that, we'll go on to Billis Way easement authorization. And this is going to be to vote for the permanent easement. I have an actual motion that I have to read.
Correct. And this was the same that was heard at the last meeting. The motion, we just needed to read in its full. And the one that was included in your packet had the wrong name, but we have updated that on the version that you will sign.
So I hereby move that the Select Board acquire by eminent domain for municipal purpose is more specifically to complete the layout of the acceptance of Billis Way as a public way as authorized pursuant to Article 3 of the April 28th, 2025 session of the Groveland Annual Town Meeting, and further to authorize the Chair, Jason Naves, to execute and enter into any and all documents necessary to effectuate the acquisition of the following property: a permanent easement for all purpose for which public ways are used in the town of Groveland, including the installation and maintenance of utilities over, in, under, through, and upon the parcel of land depicted as Billis Way, shown on the plan of land entitled Plan of Land in Groveland, Mass. Street acceptance plan showing the right-of-way of Billis Way. Date of February 29th, 2024, prepared by Millennium Engineering Incorporated, recorded with Essex South County Registration of Deeds in Book 42743, page 548, the plan. And further, that the board determined that no person will sustain damage in their property by reason of the herein taken of all accordance with provision of Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 79, Section 6, as amended, and no award damages in accordance with this determination. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Do we have any further discussion? Seeing that there's none, I'll take a vote. All in favor? 4 in favor, 1 absent. And next, we have a proposed butterfly garden at Langley Adams Library. And we're going to get a presentation.
So there's
No
no
presentation.
presentation. The memo in your packet is from the Youth Services Librarian, Evangeline. She had put together a proposal in collaboration with the Garden Club, the Groveland Garden Club, to create a butterfly garden right outside the library. As part of that memo, you'll see a sketch that was included. Based upon the location, we do require a select board vote to move forward with the proposal. We have sought a opinion from the cemetery and public grounds supervisor to ensure that the location is sufficient in terms of maintenance for mowing, et cetera. We've also checked with the highway superintendent as well. The only concern that was brought forward is shifting the location slightly, which the youth services librarian as well as the garden club were amenable to. There was also some concern regarding the actual species of plants that they were proposing, but again, that has been something that they have worked out collectively, and it's all been favorably reviewed. I think the biggest concern for the town was long-term maintenance, and essentially that if it's not being maintained by the garden club and becomes more of a nuisance, that the town has the ability to remove those plants so that they can restore it back to its original condition. But otherwise, it's been reviewed. The Library Board of Trustees, the chair of the trustees is here this evening, have reviewed the proposal as well and are in favor with moving forward. And I did speak with the director this morning, and again, they are in favor of moving forward and would like a favorable vote by the select board.
Awesome. And
Yes, I did have a couple of things to mention, if I could. Jan
Yes.
Dempsey, 33 Uptack Road, and I'm the chair of the Library Board of Trustees. And the trustees actually have not had a chance yet to discuss this at a meeting. So we're meeting the second week in July, and we just have a few things that we want to iron out and make sure that everybody's on board with it. I did speak to the Garden Club today, and we're certainly super grateful for them and what they want to help us with, and we're in favor of pollinator gardens all the way, and they're great learning tools for kids and everything else. But we are just wondering the best location, because we already have a pollinator garden that needs to be revamped. And it's a possibility that it's right in the front of the library, and being revamped and expanded a little bit might be a better location than the one on the sketch. And I talked to Darcy and Evangeline today about that perhaps we would move it. We know that no matter where it goes, we need dig safe, because that's what we had to do for the trees. But if I could ask the board just for some time for us to discuss it as a board, that would be very helpful.
sure. Then I'll make a motion to table the butterfly garden until the next meeting.
I'll second it.
Tabled, seconded, and all in favor? 4 in favor, 1 absent.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. All right, so this is going to be the Whittier Tech MSBA Letter and Work Group update. I went to they sort of did a signing ceremony of the letter, and they put it all together in a video. And I don't know if anybody has seen that, but it's out and about on Facebook. So some people have seen it. I thought it was sort of interesting, especially since everybody participated, somebody from all the different communities. It was a nice little way of going about it, I think. Some of the things that we discussed is moving forward, now that they have the letter, they have to bring that to the SBA, is they're going to need a building committee for the new school. And we have to supply them with at least one member. I don't necessarily think it needs to be somebody from this board. It's something that I think we should open up to anybody and everybody, particularly just because they are looking for people that might have a little bit more experience in construction, especially large projects. So they'll have a good understanding of what and how everything works, as well as somebody that has a good financial background. So I definitely would like Rebecca to be there for sure, because she represents the town of Groveland. She has good financial backing, because that's what she does here. And she would, I think, represent Groveland well as keeping us informed and updated of all the things that are in process. It is going to be a very lengthy term, because this is going to be a 4 or 5 year project just to get through the feasibility study. And then some of the other things that we discussed was the starting number of students. Apparently, the first time they went through, they were asking for 2,100 students. The SBA said that they would not approve any more than 1,400. And as they were moving forward through the feasibility study, they decided that it was just too expensive, and they dropped it down to where they were originally at $1,280. I know that some of the people there were talking about starting off at 1,500 students. The 2,100 that they originally had suggested was because that's what took all the students off the waiting list. And I think that's important myself. And there's no reason to guess what they're going to allow, which I think may be higher just because of the governor's new stance on opening up 3,000 new seats in technical schools. So I think it would benefit everybody if they started up higher and went from there, depending on the cost and other factors that come into it. So I wanted to just did a poll of the people here at the board and how they felt in terms of where they thought they should start. So when I go back to the next meeting, I can speak on behalf of what the board's decision was. So Ed, do you have any opinion of where they should start in terms of enrollment quantities?
Well, do you have the amount of the enrollment for Northern Essex? As it said it here in one of these sentences or paragraphs, they'll share vacant classroom and office space. Oh, do you know, is Northern Essex enrollment going down? Are they losing staff members because enrollment is going down? Do you have any data on that?
From what they said, the enrollment at Essex Tech won't affect anything in terms of what they have available for Whittier Tech and the sharing of resources. So this is set aside from that. They didn't get into specifically what the trend was at Northern Essex and whether it was going down or up. I know they've been trying to partner with all sorts of different entities to do different things, but it's just to make things better. But yeah, I mean, I could definitely check into that and
Do they have a
report
cap?
back.
At Northern Essex, do they have a cap
No.
on enrollment? Because coming up here at some point, this free community college might affect their enrollment.
Yeah, with the community college, I don't believe they have a cap because I don't believe they have the limits on class sizes that we have in high schools to be effective, because when you're in college, it's expected to be more on the person that's there to do the work and less on the teacher to take the individual aside and help them along. So I don't think they have the same situations as a high school or middle school.
Okay.
So do you have any preference on where they should start in terms of the enrollment for a new Whittier school?
Yeah, I like the 200. Increase by 200, which looks like it was recommended by the state.
By the state? Because I know that right now, when they originally did it, just to get the people off the waiting list, it was 2,100 is what they needed. And they only allow right now 1,280. So you're looking at basically an 820 increase to what they have now.
And somewhere here I mentioned that they have a waiting list of 200, so increasing it by 200 would suffice.
Okay. And Steve?
Yeah, so just to echo what Ed said, I saw in there that it said the current waiting list was about 200 students, so I guess I'd like to see what the waiting list has trended. Is it trended up? Has it trended down over the past
It's
couple?
trended up quite a bit over the last decade.
And then do we have those numbers, like how many
No,
kids?
they're working on it.
Okay. I think that would be a good thing that I would want to see before kind of saying, here's a recommendation on
Well, we
it.
definitely have time to do that.
Just because it would be good, I'd like to see, current enrollment as well as what the waiting list trend has looked like. And then I think it would be interesting to see, and I know we have this, but enrollment numbers for students from Groveland as well as students from Groveland that are on the waiting list. Just to kind of get a better understanding of that. And then just circling back to what you said about the building committee for a moment, it looks like from the memo, it says that they need to have that in place by September 30th. I do agree.
Yeah, we
that
have
we
plenty
should
of
put
time.
it out to the public and see if there's folks that are interested, because I think it's a really important committee that we need somebody that understands that space to be on.
I agree. I definitely agree with increasing enrollment, but as far as what that number should be, looking at the numbers, I know they said 200 as the wait list, but again, like what Steve had said, having something a little bit more concrete to look at. I can speak to Northern Essex Community College because I just graduated with my associates with the free community college program. That started in 2023, and I know it has increased, but they do have, I did everything online. But as far as I know, there wasn't necessarily a cap that was discussed, so those things are already in motion.
Good.
So, yeah, I'm good with an increase, just not sure of the number yet. Need a little bit more data.
Now, in terms of getting the board member for the building committee, how would you like to go about doing that? Post it on the website? Send it out to social media?
Yeah, I think soliciting people that are interested would be a good starting point, and then kind of reviewing those that are interested, maybe having them in to.
And then Rebecca would be the point of contact to get us that information.
I just had one question, since I was unable to attend. Did they talk at all about what's going to happen with the state lottery and whether or not not the state lottery, but the lottery in general in terms of the admission for vocational tech schools?
They did, but they said that there's been no determination as of yet. So they're really not sure how that's going to work or what it's going to look like. I know that when we sent that letter with regards to that, afterwards I saw an article that they had put it on hold. So how they're revamping it or what it's going to look like, I have no idea. And they
That
don't
will
either.
tie into exactly the conversation as to the data that Select Board Member Baker was asking for. How many students from Groveland and how many students from Groveland are on the waiting list? If it's no longer an issue in terms of location and it's all about a lottery system, where those students come from is even more swayed in terms of what that process is.
Right, and as it was originally, it was no weighting it. It was all just based on merit, more or less.
It would just be important to get some of that information too from the working group, so we can
Yeah.
work to get that.
And I don't know that you're going to get any of that information because they have nothing. They have no idea how it's going to look, and they're waiting for the school administration. Does anybody else have any questions? Anything else?
No.
Yes, Ed?
Not a question, a comment.
Comment.
Seems like you've been on this since the beginning, and maybe you should request to be put on the building committee.
I'll think about it, but I don't know that I have the construction knowledge that would be required to understand the inner workings and the supply chain and everything else. Manufacturing, I could probably do, but the building is a little bit different, I think. So let's see what we get for people to respond and how people respond, and we can evaluate them and see what we can think. Get them in here, talk to them. And it's going to be a long process, so I think some people would be willing to step up and excited to do it. At least I hope so. And I don't know if anybody, moving on, saw the Ipswich School Committee and what they decided about bake sales. Not that we have any say over it either way, but I thought it was interesting that they banned bake sales from the school during school hours based on nutrition facts of what was being baked and brought to the bake sales. So I wanted to get an idea of how the board felt about that, and if our school committee decided to do something similar, whether or not we would go to them and ask them to go a certain way or not. So what do you think about that, Ed?
I think if Ipswich had the school committee do it, well, then our school committee should make a decision.
Yeah, what about you, Steve?
So I think I did read through the article, and I thought it was interesting, the reasoning behind why they did it. I mean, there sounds like there's some different state and federal mandates that they needed to adhere to in terms of, food safety and nutrition and stuff like that. What I did find interesting was, one of the things that was mentioned in the article was banning things because people could have food allergies, but then the suggestion was we'll do plant sales and things like that. Well, plenty of people are allergic to pollen and stuff, so it's kind of taking one problem and creating another one. I don't know, it's just an interesting position.
Well, it was interesting. You?
So I have severe food allergies. I have to carry my 2 EpiPens with me. I could see a bake sale at an elementary school, right, when you're younger, because you're not, you're taught, I've had food allergies since I was like 5, and you're taught to always check labels, but there's a lot of trust involved, right? If your friend's selling it or the mother, you're like, oh, it's okay, I'm sure it's fine, but they don't know about cross-contamination, right? There's a whole, we could go for hours talking about it. Someone in high school, I feel like they're pretty educated. They would know whether or not they should eat something. So I can definitely see as far as the food allergy piece, but it just seems like a very, it seems like an interesting reach into the school to say no bake sales, right?
Yes, I agree, and that was my thought too. It just seemed like a very interesting reach, a bit of an overreach, because I mean that's a way that people can raise money for schools, and it's been on forever. When it comes to the food allergies, I can understand it a little bit because people have severe allergies. But I know if I have a child that has severe allergies, we're not going to a bake sale because we're not going to buy anything at a bake sale because we don't know about the cross-contamination. And that's, I think, would be a pretty standard response from anybody's parent. So I thought it was a bit of an overreach myself, especially because their final decision was based on nutritional facts and that people were getting too fat. And I just thought, I don't want to see the school committee make that decision because I think that's the decision for the parents and their children to make. And it's up to them to do those things, and it shouldn't be governed. But that was my opinion.
Yeah, and I will just add to one thing around the food safety piece. I do have to give them a lot of credit. The administration and teachers at Bagnell do a fantastic job of, because there are a lot of kids with food allergies and things like that, and they do a really good job of making sure that things are safe, so.
Okay, but that was just something I thought we could discuss. Now we have some one-day liquor licenses. If anybody wants to make a motion on those.
I'll make a motion, we approve a request for Friends of VZ Park on a one-day liquor license on June 27th from 5 to 9.
You can join the next one in there too. Might as well add it to it, it's the same.
What's that again?
Might as well add this next one to it.
You wanna
since
take
it's all the
take the other
same.
one too?
Yeah, put them both together.
Request from of Anissa Lopez, Friends of VZ Park, for a one-day liquor license for a private event, June 28th, 2025, from 5 to 9 at VZ Memorial Park.
And if I'm not mistaken, that's for their Rubbish to Runway? Exciting. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
I'm going to abstain from
You're gonna
this.
abstain?
Yes.
Awesome. Any further discussion? And without that, I'll call for a vote. All in favor? 3 in favor, 1 abstention, 1 absence. I believe we have some surplus items we have to vote on, which was brought to our attention at our last meeting.
Correct. We have 2 items. One is from the Highway Department. We are looking to surplus the track loader. As you'll note in our capital improvement plan for fiscal year '26, we are looking to replace that item, and we would like to use the trade-in value of the existing machine to go towards that purchase. So you'll find that information that was assembled by the foreman, Bill Green, in your packet. The second item is actually the cruiser. As you'll note, as part of our improvement or fleet management plan, we we replace one of the cruisers every year, so it goes for a certain amount of miles, it idles, whatnot, so the last one that we purchase then falls off and we purchase a new one each fiscal year. So this particular item, we're looking to surplus for the water department. The water department is looking to, acquire a vehicle for their superintendent when they go around to different meetings, trainings, and when they go around town instead of using their personal vehicle. So they are looking to surplus this vehicle. We did something similar with the cruiser about 4 or 5 years ago for the highway superintendent. That vehicle is still in use by the current superintendent as well as the building and facility supervisor when he goes to different sites around town. So it has proven extremely beneficial and a good use of the monies. We would not be handling the insurance for this particular vehicle. That would be transferred over to the Water and Sewer Department, who maintains those through their enterprise fund. So in order to move forward with both of those items, we're looking for a vote by the select board. One, for the surplus to be used as a trade-in value, and the second to be surplus to the Water and Sewer Department.
I'll make a motion to approve both.
So motion, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Just a quick question on the track loader. Do we know what the trade-in value is?
We do not. We believe that based upon the wear and tear of the wear and tear of the equipment, that it will be under the $10,000 threshold, but we're not exactly sure if it will be $1,000, $500, or if it will be any more.
Awesome. All right, so all in favor? 4 in favor, 1 absent. Next, we have an easement from the assessors map 24 parcel 041. That's over by the water departments on Main Street, and that's for National Grid to put in their gas or pressure relief valve. I have a specific motion that has to be read. So I hereby move to approve the grant of easement as set forth in the attached draft, and further with the condition that the board requires the Boston Gas Company to construct the 6 parking spaces as shown in Exhibit A in the draft agreement on or before the completion of the PRV building and issuance of any closeout permits. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? All in favor? 4 in favor, 1 absent. We have a request from Lenny Mira to allow him to put a newspaper box in front of Town Hall. The box would carry the Valley Patriot. I don't know if anybody's familiar with the Valley Patriot.
Make a motion that we approve the request for a box town hall for the Valley Patriot.
Is there a second? As there's none, the motion fails. Does anybody want to discuss it further?
I can. This was actually interesting because I got a chance to do some research on just vending machine of printed matter. So there's 3 towns, town of Randolph, Braintree, and Boxborough, that have specific bylaws for like any sort of vending of newspapers or periodicals that aren't necessarily from the town. So with that, it was pretty robust of having a permit, definitions, application fee, insurance required, grant or denial of permit, location, use for advertising purposes prohibited, maintenance, identification, time limit for compliance, violations and penalties, and abandonment. I think some of the concerns are by opening it up, it could look, you're opening up for other like newspaper vendors or to come in and do the same. I know we do have limited space. I was just, assuming it would be in that hallway. The idea of a bylaw just seems like it just crosses the Ts, dots the Is, just to make sure that things aren't just left there abandoned. So that was my thought, was just opening a discussion on having a bylaw for it.
I think that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and I think something to consider too is, and as newspapers can and do, if they're making political statements or endorsing candidates, we have elections at Town Hall, so that would have to be outside of 150 feet of Town Hall, otherwise it's considered campaign material, so there's some concern there too.
Which could go into the bylaw.
Yep.
Right, yep.
Yeah, I don't know that a news article would be such as campaign, but I guess it depends on whether or not you take out an ad, which definitely would be.
That was a
Because
discussion.
typically, news articles have to be allowed for everybody. At least those used to be the rules. I know the Valley Patriot, I do read it here and there because I get a lot of local stuff, and they are very biased on their opinions. So it's not something I would consider to be a great source of news, personally. But, yeah, so that makes a lot of sense, and I think in the future, we should probably look at creating a bylaw that would create something or an opportunity. But for the time being, I think any request for a newspaper of any kind should just go to the library, because they do have different newspapers there, and whether or not they display it, I think would be up to them. All right. So now we have appointments and resignations. And the first on the list is the review of proposed appointments to the Town Study Committee. Has everybody looked them over?
Yes.
Does anybody have any questions for Joe? Does anybody have any comments on the people that are listed here? None? So,
Would you read the names into the record?
sure.
All right.
No, it's fine. We have Ed Watson, Steve Baker, Alyssa Lee, Jen Peterson, Patrick Molina, Emilio Dunn, and Joe Demore. And with that, I'll make some motions. I'll make a motion to appoint Ed Watson to the Town Study Committee.
I'll second that.
Motion is second. Any further discussion? All in favor? 3 in favor, 1
I'll
abstention, 1 absent. I'll make a motion to appoint Steve Baker to the Town Study Committee.
I'll second that.
Motion to second. Any further discussion? None? All in favor?
I'll abstain.
3 in favor, 1 abstention, 1 absent. I'll make a motion to appoint Alyssa Lee, Jen Peterson, Patrick Molina, Amelia Dunn, and Joe Demore to the Town Study Committee.
I'll second that.
Second, any further discussion?
No.
All in favor? 4 in favor, 1 absent. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
I definitely look forward to getting a response.
If I could just, quick statement. So
You
thank-
have no such thing.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it for the charge and for the appointment of these wonderful folks. We're going to meet on August 4th. The meeting has been posted. It's going to be here at 5 o'clock. We're going to discuss, we're going to organize, review assignments, accept assignments, set goals for the committee, set some parameters for public communications, and then we'll make a target for the second meeting in November to bring in our assignments as part of the study committee. So I really appreciate you all for supporting this, this initiative. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, thank you for doing the work to make it all happen. All right. I'll make a motion to accept the resignation of John May as police dispatcher effective June 12th, 2025.
I'll second it.
Motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor? 4 in favor, 1 absent. I'll make a motion to promote Matt McNichol of Georgetown to the position of Technology Specialist and Library Assistant at the Langley Adams Library effective July 1st, 2025.
I'll second it.
Motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor? 4 in favor, 1 absent. I'll make a motion to promote Arthur Marcos of North Andover to the position of Highway Superintendent effective July 1st, 2025.
I'll second it.
Motion is second. Any further discussion? No. Seeing none, all in favor? 4 in favor, 1 absent. Now we need to appoint somebody to the Community Preservation Committee.
I've been on that for a couple of years. I'd like to continue.
You'd like to continue? Anybody object? Then I'll make a motion to appoint Ed Watson to the Community Preservation Committee for a 3-year term ending June 30th, 2028.
I'll second it.
Motion is second. Any further discussion? All in favor? 3 in favor, 1 abstention, and 1 absent. Now we have the annual board appointments.
You want to take the whole list, or piece by piece?
I was going to read the names and then go over the vacancies, but I don't think,
We did reach out to each individual committee and board and ask that the chair get in contact with the members of their committee or board to see whether or not they would like to continue to serve or whether or not they would like to no longer serve. So we did get a few of those members who responded that they did not want to serve, but we relatively did hear back from just about everybody that they would like to continue to serve in their role on the committees as listed in the memo.
and as I'm on 3 of them, I'd have to abstain from 3 of them. So Ed, why don't you go ahead and put them together?
You want to read them?
Go ahead.
Conservation Commission, Fred O'Connell and Jill Carr as an alternate. Fred O'Connell till 2028, Jill Carr till 2026. You want to vote on that, or you want to keep on going?
Keep on going.
Community Preservation Committee, Leah Crane, 2-year term till 2027. Elaine Tasmesian, 1-year term to 2026. Council on Aging, Laurel Pulaski, 3-year term to 2028. Linda Workman till 2028. Historical Commission, 3-year term, Claire Walsh till 2028. Planning Board, 1-year term, Jason Naves till 2026. Economic Development Committee, Brian Cornell, Steve Collins, DJ McNulty, and Angus Jennings till 2026, all. Finance Board, 3-year term, Brian Cazzaro, Adam Haywood, and Christopher Sanborn, alternate. 3-year term for Brian and for Adam, and looks like a 2-year term for Christopher Sanborn, the alternate. Recreation Committee, 1-year term, Patrick Molina and Jason Naves, both till 2026. And Michelle Tommaso till 2026. Groveland Day Committee, 1-year term, Leah Bates, Lisa Chandler, Beth Greenhagen, Liz Zimmerman, and Nicole Sargent till 2026. Trash Recycling Committee, Kathleen Castronellis, William O'Neill, David Greenbaum, Stephanie Bartlett, Jan Dempsey, 1-year term till 2026. Zoning Board of Appeals, 3-year term, John Grohalt and Jason Naves till 2028.
So I'll take that as a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Does anybody have any objections to anybody that's on the list? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? 3 in favor, 1 abstention, and 1 absent.
Did you want to read the vacancies?
Yes.
We have several vacancies, 1, 2, and 3-year terms, if anybody wants to step up. A Board of Registrars, a Democratic Party member is vacant, 3-year term. Conservation Commission, 1 associate, a 1-year term. Economic Development Committee, business member, 1 vacancy. Finance Board, an alternate, 2-year term. Historical Commission, 1 member for 3 years and 1 member for 2 years, both vacant. Recreation Committee, 2 vacancies, 1-year term. Groveland Day Committee, 2 vacancies for 1-year term. Zoning Board of Appeals, 3-year term, 1. Planning Board, 1-year term, 1 vacancy. Cultural Council, 4-year term, vacant. Water and Sewer Commission, 1-year term, vacant. Perhaps we could, anybody has any interest, could get back to Town Administrator and we could,
Absolutely, because it's important that we get these positions filled.
Mike, how many of these you want?
I was speaking to somebody down at the dog park who apparently attended their first town meeting recently, and they found it very interesting. They said it was amazing to see how everything works, and you really don't realize it until you get involved. So I encourage people to get on the boards and get involved. Learn a little bit more about your community, become active, and do what you can to make it better, because that's what everybody here is on the boards to do, to make Groveland just a little bit better. So, thank you. We have no minutes to approve. And does anybody have any old or unfinished business? No? No other items not reasonably anticipated at the time of posting? You've got something? Steve?
No, I was just looking at our packet. It looks like we have to do an additional appointments.
Additional appointments?
We have annual staff appointments.
Yeah.
Annual staff appointments.
And those are the ones that are required by bylaw. They're not, we had done in the past annual appointments of all the staff, and it was just a lot to go through when we didn't anticipate anybody resigning. So once somebody resigned, we would appoint somebody new to that position. So we just figured that it would be best to have the appointment and then move forward. But there's at least a couple of positions that require, per the bylaw, an annual appointment. And those are the town accountant, the plumbing inspector, the inspector of wires, and 2 constables.
I thought that was,
Page 87 of your packet.
huh?
Page 87.
I know, but
What
yours
is it?
is paper.
Page 87.
I know, but I'm not plugged in.
Do we just need to read the names and the position? Is that it? I can do it if you want.
Do it.
So I'll make a motion, can we do these all at once? Is that okay? I'll make a motion to appoint Ellen Petrillo, Town Accountant, Richard Danforth, Plumbing Gas Inspector, Robert Baldini, Alternate Plumbing Gas Inspector, Thomas Tombarello Jr., Electrical Inspector, Christopher White, Alternate Electrical Inspector, Edward Reed, Constable, and Carlos Husak, Constable.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion?
No.
No? All in favor? 4 in favor, 1 absent. And with that, that brings us all down to town administrator time.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I just have a couple of updates. This is probably the shortest memo yet, so you're welcome. But I just wanted to let you all know that the 2025 pavement managed program is essentially wrapped up. We have a couple of items to complete, such as loaming and seeding and some punch list items. And we also did move forward with a contract extension for another year with the current contractor, which is EJ Paving. If you remember, we just went out for bid for this particular contract in January, but we only carried it over for the remainder of the fiscal year. Then we have the Salem Street Dam update, just to let you know that we did file with the National Heritage Endangered Species Program for their permit. So we have a tentative start date for the pipelining scheduled for July 8th or 9th, and we are working to get that finalized so that we can go before the Conservation Commission accordingly. So once we have some receipt from the National Heritage about the application, we'll be sending that over to the Conservation Commission.
Can I ask a quick question on that one? Sorry. Will the road be closed during that work?
I believe that we will still have 1 lane open for travel, but I will need to confirm those details, and we'll get you an answer prior to the next meeting.
Okay, thank you.
And then the other update is the composting initiative. As you're aware, we did receive a grant from Mass DEP for the Recycle Dividends Program, and we are offering free compost starter kits to the first 50 households that sign up. We do have a link on our website, and we can make that available. And we also have some helpful information in regards to the benefits of composting and how to get started. So we can send that information out. We have sent a link out through our social media pages, and it is on the website, but we are also doing another public media blast. For project requests and residential concerns, we did receive a request regarding the speed limit, specifically in the area of 7 Star Road down towards the West Newbury town line. There's a lot that goes into posting speed signs, and there's also a lot that goes into potentially limiting the speed limit down to 25 miles per hour townwide, which you've seen in a couple of the surrounding communities. So we are looking at a little bit more about the process and what would need to go in to making those types of decisions. We do know that the 25 mile per hour townwide is a little bit more involved, but even if you're just putting a sign up in an area, you need to identify whether or not it's thickly settled, and if it is thickly settled, then you need to figure out if you need to do a traffic count or you don't need to do a traffic count. So, you know, what you might consider something to be a speed decrease might actually go up because it's not thickly settled, or, you know, it doesn't meet those criteria. So we're putting together some information, and we'll have more to update the board.
A question on that. Why not get a hold of the MVPC to have them put a traffic count out there and see what the speed is? If you can, they know a particular spot, it's certainly not the whole length, maybe the straightaway, but put a traffic counter out there, which will indicate the speed and the time of day or night and gear it from there.
That will be helpful. We also need to put into consideration the distance between households and the property lines and the driveways. So that information also needs to be put into a memo that needs to be signed by an engineer if we were to put forward something. But yes, we will contact the MVPC for the traffic count, which is one part of that process for sure. For the next item is the fishing dock at VZ Memorial Park. I've had a resident come in who wanted to move forward with a community preservation project, I want to say a year and a half ago, and wanted to put a fishing dock over at VZ Memorial Park or another location in town. I said, there's another program that we could take advantage of that is offered through the state, and they pay for that, so we might want to start there. After a long back and forth trying to find the appropriate contact and working with Mike Dempsey from the Conservation Commission, we were able to find the correct contact. The one we were originally speaking to had retired, but we do have a meeting scheduled for next month, so hopefully we will be able to continue towards this initiative and have a new fishing pier here in Groveland. For field use and property use permits, there are none to report. Important upcoming dates, just to let you all know that the Rubbish to Runway event at VZ Memorial Park is happening on Friday and Saturday, June 27th and June 28th. The 175th Parade meeting, they're meeting on June 25th, and the planning board meeting is on Tuesday, July 8th. For grants, the community planning grant, MBTA Section 3A zoning compliance, we submitted for final reimbursement in the quarterly report. For Mass Works Route 97 signalization project, we submitted the final reimbursement request and quarterly report, so hopefully we'll receive those reimbursements, so we won't have to worry about any penalties on our free cash allocation. For the request for expression of interest, the consultant submitted the closeout memo to Mass Development, and we're recommending next steps. That is a grant that was paid directly to the consultant, so we do not need to worry about official closeout, but we're hoping that Mass Development looks favorably upon our efforts and we can move forward with a grant for the zoning proposal for next year. For community preservation projects, most notably to let you all know that paving is scheduled for this Wednesday. To allow the asphalt to properly cure, traffic should remain off of the service until the end of the day Friday. There is rain in the forecast, so we believe that window will be shortened, and we believe that you will be able to utilize for vehicles the pavement on Thursday. So it'll allow the surface to cool more quickly. So this will only be for vehicle traffic. So during the work, obviously, you won't necessarily be able to access the Pines area, but you will be able to use the facilities once the crews are gone. You can walk on it, you can walk to the dog park, you can walk down to the playground. You just can't drive vehicles, but we do have the pathway and we do have sufficient parking up here at the town hall complex. The area over at the Shanahan field is a little different because it's already blocked off, so nobody's using the area, so we don't expect any impact. But the Groveland Youth Soccer is very excited for the project to be completed and to be able to use the parking lot, and they do have an event coming up in July. So again, we're excited to see this project progress. For procurement, we mentioned the 2025-11 contract extension with EJ Paving, and we are reviewing the PC Life Cycle Management extension contract with BSS. They do all of our computers here in Town Hall. For technical review conferences, there's none. And then for meetings, events, and seminars, it's a short list. I was away last week, so if there's any additional questions you have about any of those meetings, I'd be happy to answer them.
Does anybody have any other questions for?
Just one on the, on both of the paving projects, I guess especially the Shanahan Field one. Will the lines be painted before the 4th of July?
Before the
4th of July.
I'm not sure about the line painting, but the lot will be accessible for use.
Okay. Yeah, just because I know there's usually a lot of people down there, and it seems like it would, if there's a way to have it painted before the 4th of July, that might make things a little less chaotic.
We've definitely expressed a desire with the contractor to move quickly and told them about their 4th of July event and that it is heavily attended, so we would like to make sure that it is as complete as it possibly can be. So we are trying to work swiftly with them to make sure that happens. No guarantees, but we have definitely communicated such.
Great.
Awesome. And with that, we'll move into select board time and reports. Becky?
I don't have anything this week. I know, I
Wow.
know, I have nothing.
Steve?
Just that the Rubbish to Runway event is this weekend at VC Park. I think there's still tickets available, so
And it's usually very well attended, and I encourage people to attend it.
Should be a great event.
And it fits very well with the trash and recycling that everybody is so focused on. Ed,
I'm all set.
all set? And I'm all set as well. So we did get some correspondence. Has anybody looked at the correspondence? And does anybody want to discuss the correspondence at a future meeting?
Sure, why not?
Anything specific?
Well, what's that? I'm sorry, what's that?
Anything specific on the correspondence that you might want to discuss on a future meeting?
Yeah, the Pecker Lane complaint.
Pecker Lane complaint?
I think reading the attorneys, it's factually, a little bit factually incorrect.
Okay, well, we certainly can discuss it.
What's that?
We certainly can discuss it.
Yeah, we'll put it on for anything.
Absolutely.
And along with the building inspector.
You would like to have him at the meeting?
That I can't answer because I don't know what the agenda would be, if it's a long agenda for the next meeting or not.
Well, hasn't been set yet, so that would be something we could discuss as we go along. But would you like him there to discuss the?
Yeah,
Pecker
sure, you
Lane?
can do it
Yeah,
next meeting if you
absolutely.
get time.
Perfect. Good to see some of the things. And our next meeting, is it going to be
July 7th.
July 2nd at 6:30?
7th,
7th,
6:30.
6:30. July 7th, 6:30,
You got something going on that day?
maybe.
Okay.
Should I wait for my phone to ring
Yeah.
and check it? Yeah. And with that, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a,
No, you go.
I'll make a motion to adjourn at 7:26.
I'll second it.
7:26, wow. All in favor?
Yep.
4 in favor, 1 absent. Thank you all for coming.